Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. Use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper, and we got a lot to get to on the show here today. The Brewers get the win over the Pirates on Wednesday night, and you get a little bit of a scare in there, but we'll talk about that, and also some offense from the expected but the unexpected contributors there for the group. But Kyle Harrison was really kind of the big story from this game on Wednesday night. Makes his return from the injured list. The Brewers activate him prior to the game. Grant Anderson is the one who ends up getting optioned down. It is not Bryce Wilson who gets a DFA. It is Anderson who gets sent to AAA Nashville. Anderson has been a pretty serviceable reliever for the past 2 years for this Brewers bullpen. But if you look at his splits, he has really struggled against left-handed hitters. So, yeah, I mean, he's practically almost unusable against lefties out there. So, Anderson ends up getting sent down to AAA, and Harrison gets activated here. The Brewers, it seems like, will go with a six-man rotation for the time being. But Harrison comes back, and he does not skip a beat. He only allows one hit, a single, to center. He strikes out 10, including the last 8 batters that he faced. The second longest streak of most consecutive strikeouts in Brewers franchise history, behind only his doppelganger, Corbin Burnes, who struck out 10 in a row back in August of 21 against the Chicago Cubs, which was phenomenal time to be able to do that against the Cubs. But Kyle Harrison was really fantastic, and you're thinking, okay, this dude's cruising. He's at 69 pitches through 5. You're going to be able to get at least 1, maybe 2 more innings out of him. And then he goes back out there for the 6th and throws a warm-up pitch or 2, and then he calls for the trainer. And everyone's like, oh no, here we go, not again. He just came back from the IL after missing a month, and ends up leaving with the athletic trainer, is done after 5 innings. But a few minutes later, word came back that Harrison exited the game with cramping in both of his calves. Not just one or the other, both calves cramped up on him. But just a cramp. It is not an arm issue. It is not any sort of other long-term kind of concern. Just cramping. Couldn't get enough fluids. Couldn't get enough electrolytes. They really need to work on their cramping here. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous at this point. But so it's nothing seriously concerning, nothing that should jeopardize his next start, nothing that should force him back on the IL. Just cramps that came up. He said he tried down in a pickle shot, or a pickle juice shot. There's this hot cinnamon shot thing that apparently that works to activate muscles quickly and prevent cramping, but not quick enough apparently for him. So ends up leaving the game there after 5. But again, the good news is that it's not anything seriously concerning. Just kind of a short-term issue there. But still, struck out 8 in a row to end the start. And they made it 9 in a row. Chad Patrick came in and struck out the first batter he faced. So 9 batters in a row struck out there for the Pirates. And the Brewers end up getting the 4-2 win. Kyle Harrison outdueled Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens has kind of struggled this year. I mean, he had a 3.90 ERA coming into the game. Has not been his usual dominant self. But the Brewers were able to put some runs on the board, and they got it from some unexpected contributors, Christian Yelich and William Contreras. Yes, that's right. Those two have not been playing well over the past month or so. And it got to the point where fans were booing Christian Yelich because he has just been playing so poorly. Pat Murphy was dropping him in the order. He's ultimately batting 5th here again. But I think that there's been a kind of a movement here a little bit among the fan base. It hasn't quite taken off, kind of like Trey Turner and the Phillies a couple of years ago. But there are some who want to do something similar to that. It's like, okay, let's do a standing ovation for Christian Yelich. First time up, whatever, like his at-bats, let's get a standing ovation. Let's cheer this guy on. Like let's get some positivity going here. to help Yelich get going. And the players, Yelich and the players and Murph and all of them, they saw that, they recognized that, and in the fourth inning, Yelich comes through with an RBI double to get the Brewers on the board against Paul Skeens. So that had to feel really good for him. He got a nice big ovation from the crowd for that. And that put him on the board. Andrew Vaughn then followed with a 2-run single through the right side to put the Brewers up 3-0. So you get the crooked number there on Skeens. And then William Contreras, who has also stunk it up for the last month or so, he also is able to come through, and he gets the big time homer off the Pirates bullpen. I mean, he gets to the sixth inning, Skeens is done, and Contreras is up there, and first pitch just absolutely mashes a home run to the Brewers bullpen. And Contreras gets a big hit there and drew the walk ahead of Yelich, in that fourth inning. So a couple of big at bats from Contreras. You haven't been getting as much production from him as you would have liked, but to have that power show up there, to have him draw his walks, Pat, I asked Murphy about it, and the one thing he wanted to mention was the walk. Like, we need William to draw walks. He's at his best when he's doing that. So that was huge to him. That's what stuck out to Murph about it. But the home run was huge there. Gave the Brewers some insurance. Put them up 4-0. DL Hall ended up giving up a 2-run homer, so it became a 4-2 ball game. But the rest of the bullpen locked it down from there, and the Brewers get the 4-2 victory over the Pirates. So it's always great to see. And the Brewers need Christian Yelich and William Contreras. They need them hitting. They need them playing well if they're going to have any hope of not only just fending off the Cubs to win the division, but advancing in the playoffs. I mean, they need those two guys at their best. They need those two guys playing well if they are going to make it anywhere in October. It doesn't matter what other trades you want to do. It doesn't matter if you have Tarek Skubal or not. It doesn't matter what other names you wanted potentially at the trade deadline. If Yelich and Contreras are not hitting well, it's going to be very difficult to get anywhere in October. We obviously saw the NLCS last year. The offense went away. Now, the offense was just done. Like, that, they had almost nothing left. Now, granted, it helped that the Dodgers were throwing $1 billion worth of pitching at you, but still, the offense was not able to do much of anything. And if your offense is going to be able to do anything, your two highest ceiling guys, essentially, are Christian Yelich and William Contreras. So, I mean, they're your two most proven MLB bats. And if they're not hitting, if they're not performing the way that they're expected to, the way that they need to, this whole offense is not going to work. It is not going to be able to produce enough because you are relying way too heavily then on guys like Joey Ortiz and Luis Lara and Cooper Pratt and Garrett Mitchell and eventually Sal Frelick when he returns. You're relying way too much on them and David Hamilton. You're relying on them to be providing the offense if you're not getting it from Contreras and Yelich. So you need them. You need them playing at their best, and especially you need them playing that way in October. So to just kind of see them get going here and maybe build up a little bit of confidence and feel like they're coming out of the slump, that is super important to this organization. So maybe these are the steps here in the right direction with that, and they can continue to win more ball games here because you got more coming up. And you can trade every single game on Kalshi as well. I mean, you guys know this. I mean, if you've been following the pod here for any length of time, you guys know that you can trade every single game on Kalshi. And the Brewers have another big one coming up here today against the Pirates as they are, trying to win this series. And it's a best of 4. You lose the first one, you win the next 2, so you have a chance to kind of make it 3 in a row here as the Brewers are trying to get can continue to stave off the Cubs. So can they put that together? And I'm looking again here at the Brewers and the spread here, 1.5 runs. Which they were able to cover 1.5 runs for the game on Wednesday night, And can they do it again? They're currently trading at a 38% chance to do it again on Kalshi. That means a $100 trade pays out $252 with a win. So the Brewers win by 2 runs, and you could get $252 right there with how things are looking on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10 KALSHI Kalshi trade on anything. Okay, now also, when it comes to games here, the Brewers have the best record in all of baseball as they have 71 wins on the season. Just kind of continuing to impress and continue to stockpile those wins. The first team, obviously, to reach 70, and now the first team to reach 71. They have a 2-game lead on the best record here over Atlanta, a 2.5-game lead over the Dodgers. The Dodgers got swept by the Cubs, even with Tarek Skubal over there. The Dodgers got swept. They have actually lost 6 in a row. So they have not been playing well, even with their trade deadline wins and whatnot. They haven't had that success. So maybe the Dodgers are not completely infallible here as an unstoppable monster. I mean, they're a team that can be beaten. Can they be beaten in October? We shall see. But the Brewers have a 2-game lead on that. And last year, we remember the Brewers did have the best record in all of baseball, so they had the number 1 seed in the National League playoffs. They would have had home field advantage in the World Series had they made it that far. And the Brewers are currently on pace to have that same kind of situation again, where you would be the home team there in the NLDS, the home team in the NLCS, so you have home field advantage throughout. And again, if you make the World Series, you would have home field advantage there as well. So, but there's still a long way to go for this regular season. We still have nearly 2 full months to go here. And 2 games is, obviously hardly a lockdown thing, especially when you're competing against the 2 other division leaders that you're not going to be, facing as much against. I mean, you don't have as much control over how those guys are doing, and you've got to be able to keep pace with kind of the best teams there. It's a little different than the Cubs chasing you down from 6 games back or wherever they are. So you have a nice little cushion, but it's still going to be a very tight race for those top seeds. And just the important part is you don't want to be the 3rd seed as a division winner. You don't want to have the 3rd best record among division winners. You want to have one of the top 2, because then you can avoid that best of 3 wild card round and you just move straight into the NLDS. That's what the Brewers need to be doing. That's just kind of where they need to be, whether it's the 1 or the 2, as long as they're one of them. As long as they're not number 3, that is really the important part there. So they have a 2-game lead on that, and we'll see. Maybe they can expand that as things go here. But in order to do that, they're going to have to win today as they wrap things up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they're going to have to do it with Dustin May on the mound. He will be making his Brewers debut after coming over in the trade deadline deal with the St. Louis Cardinals for Alexander Frias and Josiah Ragsdale. I did see Josiah Ragsdale made his Cardinals organizational debut and promptly homered in his first at-bat with the Cardinals. So that is a bit more of a stinger. I mean, like you root for success for the guys, obviously like personally, but when you're kind of seeing it now for a rival organization, it's a little bit different, almost. But you got Dustin May in the organization, and the Brewers are just kind of trying to see and hoping to see that he will end up having similar kinds of success for his first outing here with his new team. And look, we shall see. I think certainly it's interesting that Dustin May's making his debut in a day game here with an afternoon matinee. And this season, Dustin May during day games has a 6.84 ERA. During night games, he has a 2.39 ERA. So he's 1-7 during day games in 10 of those games. That's not good. That is not good. I'm not sure if that is this year or just his entire career, but still, that is. No, I believe that's just this year, but still, that is quite the split, and quite the time for him to have a day game start here for his first one with the Brewers. So keep an eye on that as something here for this game. So hopefully, he can buck that trend here with the new organization and kind of turn some of that around. But Dustin May making his Brewers debut here today. Braxton Ashcraft is going to be pitching for the Pirates. So should be a fun game. And this is going to be your first look really at the Brewers trade deadline edition there for the rotation. We've seen Antonio Senzatella already twice. Every chance we've gotten to, we have gotten to see Antonio Senzatella joins the organization, and he has pitched in both games that he's been eligible to so far. So Pat Murphy just kind of throwing him right into the fire there in that bullpen. So he said they needed him on Wednesday night, and they went with him. Just one batter, but still had to call him into the game and put out a fire there from DL Hall. But Dustin May making his debut, and hopefully it goes well for him as the Brewers try to wrap up this series with a victory and continue to hold that lead there on the best record in all of baseball. But whatever happens, we will be breaking it down here on Brewers Daily, so be sure to follow and subscribe if you have not already. Follow me on X as well at dgasper24. Appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.